Re-edit that so
D101.
add it to the... That's so much work.
That's way too much work. We didn't even come up with the music that we already have.
Hello, and welcome to Co-op the Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse.
And I'm your co-host, Raven.
Like the bird.
Like the bird. Raven like the bird. Welch like the grape juice.
Anyways, welcome to the podcast. This week we are...
in the Dominican Republic, so leave us alone.
We're in the Dominican Republic. So this is actually coming out like... Technically, the podcast we just recorded 30 minutes ago was the one we are in the Dominican Republic, but this one we would normally record this weekend, blah, blah, blah.
But we were actually in the Dominican Republic
when we would have recorded it. So,
yeah, so
yes, we're back today.
Yeah.
But
we wouldn't have had
we
time.
wouldn't have been able to record it.
No.
So.
Here we are.
This is it. Yeah.
This is it.
So let's do some announcements that are... not in any way very similar to our last set of announcements. Dirty. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we are doing a t-shirt contest.
Yeah.
We definitely announced it in the last one, but we're reiterating it here. We're going to have some posts, so there's still lots of... It's still going on, despite the fact that we're out. We just might be a little delayed in sending out the winner and whatnot.
This particular winners. Actually, we didn't say in the last episode, but I'm definitely going to put it in the...
Post?
Rules in the post. To be able to enter this particular contest, you unfortunately have to live in the United States.
Yes.
Yes.
It is just much, much easier for us
to send stuff, unfortunately.
Yes.
Especially since we're doing this like once a week and we don't want to have to incur like $75 worth of shipping charges on a $25 t-shirt.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, our shirts should be available internationally, and so if you want to buy them, please do. But yes, for now, until we can figure out a better way to do it, it's restricted to residents of the United States, or people who can at least receive packages within the United States.
Yes, either that or I think we could do Canada and the UK.
Yeah, Canada doesn't seem hard. UK. I don't know. There's some rules. We'll sort it out. If you win, we'll sort it out with you and try and figure it out. And if it's not a no-go, we'll just sort of send you a sorry emoji and pick up the next person. But yes, the t-shirt contest is going to be, please comment, like, anything that's trackable on our social media posts all throughout this week. Same for last week. We're cutting them off. Each Tuesday, we'll kind of cut it off. Or actually, how about, when do we want to cut it off? Sunday. We'll cut it off Sunday so that Monday we can do the tallying. I don't know. But it's per week. Comment, like, share. Whatever you do that's trackable, we'll get you an entry. You can comment as many times as you like. Don't abuse it, obviously. Be reasonable.
I'm going to just direct people to the post.
Yes, you can read all these rules in the post. But it'll be all over our social media. We're going to give away a shirt a week from now until we get bored of doing it. Which could theoretically be never. So we're going to keep on giving stuff away. So make sure you enter. Make sure you're following us so you can continue to get updates on it, especially if you like free stuff.
Specifically free t-shirts.
Yeah. And right now, it's t-shirts. But sometimes we're going to do other stuff in the mix. So you never know. On top of that, we will still continue to have other giveaways that will be podcast related. You'll have to listen to enter for those ones. But for these, just engage with us on social media. Be our friends. And we'll give you some free stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, go to Patreon. Patreon.com/co-op-the-podcast.
Give us your money monthly.
Yep. And you can sign up for a monthly subscription where many of those include free t-shirts, free other stuff. And most importantly, they all include free lifetime access to the Co-op the Podcast Discord
channel. And then if we also have like cool behind the scenes videos, maybe we'll post some stuff while we're on vacation.
You never know. Unless you give us money on Patreon. Then you'll know.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So check us out. Patreon.com/co-op-the-podcast.
Head to co-op-the-podcast.com for blog content. We have been a little lacking in the...
We're bad bloggers.
Bad bloggers. But that's because we have full-time jobs. But if more people go and we get more interactions and stuff through our blog, we will definitely do it more. But we're only human.
Yes. But yeah, definitely encourage us. Go visit, and we'll do more. And we've got tons planned. So we have a backlog. We're working on them. So, they'll come out sporadically. We still haven't been able to commit to a schedule. But yeah, check them out. They're still well written and well received.
Cool as hell.
By everybody who has tasted the cookies, at least. So yeah, moving quickly and moving right along.
Yeah, I'm going to just say, you guys, this is the second episode. I'm sleepy.
Yeah, we got stuff to do. Hot cakes, though.
Yeah, in this episode, we're going to focus a lot on stuff that we're doing right now and what we're reading and what we're watching. Maybe not 100% watching because, like we said in the last episode, One Piece is taking over our TV.
So I get a lot of time to watch some stuff during the day, so I've got some stuff and I'm waiting to watch One Piece until Raven's home, right? Yes. So, I've got some stuff to add, but yeah, I don't think Raven has much to add in the viewership.
In the TV category.
Yeah.
I have stuff to add in the other categories. The first one that I'm going to talk to is...
Yeah, jump in.
So I asked for everyone's recommendations for shoujo mangas, which if you don't know what those are, they are girly. They're kind of like more romantic in nature mangas. And I'm like switching back and forth from saying manga and manga. So don't correct me. Yeah. How about? So I asked for some recommendations and I got some really great ones. One of them being like a super popular shoujo called Fruits Basket, which I haven't actually gotten to read. But that one's the next on my list. But I did find one that was on a list. It's called Kami-sama Kiss is I think what the anime is technically called. It's like Kami-sama Hajime Mishita? Ding!
Yeah, who knows?
I think that's close enough. And it's a shoujo. I'm still reading it right now. But it's basically about like a girl in high school and her dad ends up like abandoning her and she becomes homeless because he's like full of debt. And she saves this guy. He tells her to go live at this place and go like take care of it. And she it's basically a shrine and she is now taking over as God. And her familiar is this sexy fox demon dude, and romance ensues, kind of, a little bit. But it's really good, and I'm kind of like trying to find my way in the shoujo manga like realm because at first I was like, oh man, this is so good, and then it started to get really repetitive, where it was, oh, they have moments. But then moments start to happen between her and like other people, but she's not meaning them to happen. And she's really childish. Like, I'm almost too old for this particular shoujo.
And that's how they all are. They all are kind of repetitive to a degree. But... Well, yeah. I mean, more like it's like the same thing in all literature. There's like 6 stories, right? They're all retold over. Yeah, it's like.
I mean, this isn't like necessarily a point. Like with, I feel like Shonen Jumps, like I feel like they're not all the same. They all have kind of the same structure, but this is like legit. Every arc is kind of the same. Where there's a new guy and he saves her, but she's trying to prove herself to this one guy, and
right. And I mean, not to be sexist, but that's why I like Shonen better.
I mean, I think it might just be this shoujo, so I want to read others to really
you should
give my opinion because, I mean, that's kind of how a lot of romance novels are, and I was like, I wanted some recommendations for like romance novels. So if you have good romance novels, let me know. But for this particular shoujo, I found it a little bit repetitive. I haven't finished it because it's gotten a little too repetitive, but I'm going to try to finish it before we leave for our trip. So I'll let you know kind of how my final say on it is. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, you've read it pretty quickly, so it must be pretty good. So.
It was rather short, too. There are only like 140 chapters of this particular manga.
And while you were reading that,
yes,
I started watching The Tick.
You did. Yes.
Which I think we talked about it before. Okay, literally my computer just turned off. Anyways, The Tick, 2016 TV series from Amazon. .com. It's the new one. We talked about it. I think recent, like briefly, maybe not recently, like in like an older one that we wanted to watch it. I finally got around to watching it because I was bored.
We were probably talking about Warburton.
Probably because like I did enjoy his Tick, right?
The original.
Yeah, I enjoyed the cartoon series. You know,
love the cartoon.
It's all like he's a funny character. So the Tick is kind of like a parody superhero character. You know, he's like super invincible, basically, is his only power, and then he has like, you know, super heroic things to say, and it's kind of has like a naivete to real world situations and stuff, and it's just a hero following the whims of fate and stuff like that, and all the other characters are kind of parodies off other characters, and it's really great. But Amazon revitalized the series, and I didn't know this, but when they first did it, they did like the pilot episode. Mm-hmm. They did a bunch of other pilots too, and I actually don't know what other series were in this pilot. It's like a head-to-head pilot thing. So they did all these pilots, and they had viewers vote on which one they wanted to become series, and the Tick won. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's how it actually like kind of came about, and that's why like in the production there's like the there was the Tick. He has his like costume in the first episode. It's it completely changes in episode 2, and they comment on it. It's super funny, right? They're like, "You look different." And he's like, "Thanks," right? And then it changes too from season like 1 to 2, and you know, rather than like a lot of series, it just they kind of brush it off. Like they just address it head on, and you know, it's like he doesn't know why.
It's like a sarcastic kind of moment, but it's between the actors and everybody on set.
Yep. But yeah, it's super good. All the characters in it are super good. You know, you have the Tick, you have Arthur, who's a sidekick, right? And that's traditional, his little moth guy. Yeah. Sidekick.
Do you need to move your drink?
No, it's fine.
Okay, good.
They have all the other characters are in there. They're good. I really like Danger Boat, super funny. So if you guys are ever gonna watch it, Danger Boat. Yeah, he's funny. But yeah, there's a lot of good characters. I don't know what else should I say about it. I say go watch it, right? Like there's not this. I don't think the story's much to give away. It's kind of you figure what's gonna happen, and it happens basically that way.
Is it still going?
It is still going. So
okay, well that's cool. And they're only on like what you said.
Season 1 and 2 have come out. I think season 2 came out like a month ago or 2 months ago or something like that. So season 3 will come out. You know, a year from now or so. Like I wouldn't expect it anytime soon or anything like that, but it'll come out. Yeah, it's definitely planned.
And who's the lead actor that plays the Tick is the guy from... Yeah. I like to remember
Peter Serafinowicz.
That was good.
Yep, that's his name.
I know him as the roommate of Shaun in Shaun of the Dead. The guy who works in an office. Yeah. So, yeah, and... eventually becomes a zombie. Sorry if I just ruined that for you. Get over it.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, he's been in a lot of things. Never really kind of this is his upfront moment.
He's not like a lead. He's usually
this is his upfront moment, and he's doing a great job with it, right? And like one of the best things about the Tick is you get a lot of quotable moments. Yeah. A lot of the stuff he says are very quotable.
This past like week or so, Jesse just will send me random like quotes, and I'm like, I don't even know what this means, but it's pretty funny.
Yeah, they're pretty funny, and that's why like I definitely like just go watch it. The episodes are like I want to say they're 30 minutes each, but they might be an hour long each. But there's not that many of them. I finished it in like a week, season 1 and season 2.
Yeah, you did not take very long.
Yeah, and like it's definitely it's up there and probably my top shows right now, and I'm gonna continue watching it.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there's not that many seasons, so hopefully I can kind of jump in at some point. But if anything, so Jesse, like you said, he usually watches shows while I'm at work because he works from home, and a lot of his job he could just kind of like have something in the background. So he'll watch TV shows like this, and he did the same for like Frontier and a bunch of other TV shows that he then introduced me to later. So hopefully this is one of those that I can watch another time. You also did that with Black Lightning.
I did, yes. Black Lightning is another good superhero movie, which is, you know...
TV show,
Yeah, TV show, not movie.
Which is on the Netflix. CW, right?
Yeah, maybe it is, actually. I don't know. I watched it on Netflix. I thought it was a Netflix original.
Excuse me while I... figure it out.
It is on the CW.
Nice. I knew it.
Yeah, I already had it up.
Black
But yeah, it's on the CW. So I watched it on Netflix because that's just where I watch it. But it's based in if people don't know, Black Lightning is a comic book character, DC character.
DC character, yeah.
Basically, the way I look at it, and I don't actually know much about this character. I've never read much about this character, but I view it as Static Shock.
It's very similar to
Static Shock after he got old and had kids and was like not Static Shock anymore, but then he came out of retirement and became Static Shock again. And that's basically exactly what this is.
That's Black Lightning.
That's basically Black Lightning. And he lives in Freeland, which is Atlanta. It's a parody of Atlanta.
Yeah.
100,000%.
DC
it's filmed in
a
Atlanta,
lot.
I'm pretty sure, too.
Well, like, we look at it. I remember I watched bits of the first season with you. And I'm like, that looks super familiar. And that's what a lot of DC, like, stories do. Like, obviously, Gotham is a version of New York.
But Black Lightning is really great. It definitely has that whole, the ghetto sort of vibe. This is good. This is good stuff. So it definitely has that sort of like vibe to it, and you get that like they talk about that sort of stuff a lot. But there's still a lot of good action and superhero bits it's really associated to that.
Yeah, and we're from Atlanta, so like, and I'm from actually like South Atlanta, so it really did feel like that, where you get kind of that like idea of how like a Black African American superhero, where would he be? Who would he fight for? He would fight for the people in his neighborhood, and so what goes on in that neighborhood is kind of the idea that Black Lightning kind of encompasses.
Exactly.
Where it's not just a random like where
it's not
I
Lex
feel
Luthor versus Superman. It's Black Lightning versus the factors that affect kids growing up in the ghetto.
Stop saying it like
Black Forest Ghetto.
Black Forest Ghetto. No, but it's kind of like where I'm seeing like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like Falcon. Like, I feel like he's not specifically fighting for people in his neighborhood. It's almost like Warmonger. Is that what it is in Black Panther? The bad guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, like how he's trying to fight for his neighborhood, and that kind of, I mean, they made it seem like a bad guy. That's kind of like what Black Lightning is doing. He's fighting for his neighborhood, but he's also not trying to kill people at the same time. He's like a good guy.
Yep, yeah, it's a really good series. The powers are super cool. Black Lightning, and so he has some sidekicks. I don't really want to give it away, but they're pretty badass too. Thunder is my favorite. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the villains in it too. I think that they're really interesting.
Yep, the villains. Actually, I have to say, like, Tobias Whale's the main villain, and he's like, it's man. If anybody watched the Luke Cage series, and you're like, who is the villain in the like Cottonmouth?
Yeah, I love.
It's basically like Cottonmouth, but they didn't kill him off, and they keep him going.
Jesse, don't ruin it.
They kill him off in Luke Cage, but it was a huge bummer. It was like, oh man, he was a cool hero. Now I'm stuck with like this other lady, and you're like, I don't
like
care.
Her as much.
He was
Cottonmouth
awesome.
Was cool, yeah. And that's the thing too, is like the Black Lightning is a really good kind of example of the DC version of Luke Cage, but more of like an actual established superhero, where Luke Cage is kind of like thrust into the role, and he's just trying to protect his neighborhood.
Luke Cage, they're very, very similar though. Yeah, it's all about like they face different challenges in their neighborhood. Luke Cage is almost like an anti-hero, whereas not even like Black
an anti-hero.
Lightning's definitely a hero.
Hero. Where
protecting his neighborhood and facing the challenges that are like different than like with like Superman, he's got to fight Lex Luthor, right? Mm-hmm. That's not what they're fighting.
Yeah, like I think it's safe to say in like Black Lightning, there's a lot of like gang activity, and he's specifically trying to combat like gang violence in the area. Which, coming from Atlanta, I mean, like gang violence is
and coming from Atlanta too, like he partners kind of or they parallel a lot. He doesn't really partner with, but they parallel a lot with like the preacher. That is, like everybody goes to church and like everybody's praying for the young people in the neighborhood, hoping that they like make good choices, and so you see that parallel a lot in this as well, and that's another good solid force in the neighborhood. It centers around like Jefferson Pierce is Black Lightning. Mm-hmm. He's the principal at the high school.
Yeah,
and he like tries to do like
It's
you know, there's a lot of other ways to help these kids in these neighborhoods. You don't have to fly around shooting lightning and beat people up.
right.
And they focus a lot on that stuff too.
Yeah, which is kind of a whole kind of basis of people really in the South. And like, if you grow up in those areas, like those are the good forces of our neighborhoods, like coming from.
Yeah, it's kind of like they said, like, what if like the everyday superheroes were real superheroes?
Yeah, exactly.
And
like,
they can shoot lightning out
super
too.
cool principal, and and he's a philanthropist in the area, but he's not rich, so he's still like really volunteering in the neighborhood. It's like different than Batman, who's a philanthropist, but he's also super fucking rich. Like this guy is really.
They got different problems.
Yeah, exactly, and it's cool to see your neighborhood
cool.
being represented in that way.
Yep, it's really, really cool. It's really, really good. Like I said, go check it out, and definitely, you know, there's 2 seasons. I think there's gonna be a season 3 for sure. They're all good so far.
Yeah, and it
Netflix
really
has
ties
them,
in
CW
with
has
that
them.
CW DC kind of.
It does.
story.
I would actually be very interested in seeing that like sort of crossover stuff happen.
Right, because I mean,
lost
they're about
touch
to
with some
get
of
done
those
with
DC shows.
Arrow, but the Flash is still going. I think.
Yeah, and then there's the
DC Heroes of Tomorrow.
is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But yeah, that one is like it's ripe for Black Lightning to kind of, or you know, not even Black Lightning. Like I said, he has some sidekicks.
Yeah, the
Thunder
girls,
and Lightning is who they are. Yeah, and it'd be super cool if like Thunder just disappeared from Black Lightning for like a season and like happened to be on Heroes of Tomorrow. Like I said, she's my favorite. She's cool. Yeah, like I don't respect teenagers that get superpowers and then are like, teenager problems.
It's like the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It's like,
which
I'm a teenager, but then I'm also selling my soul to Satan. But
that girl's
let me
the
do
daughter
teenagers.
from Mad Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that until
Silly
I finished
man.
Mad Men. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't respect teenagers with superpowers at all. Teenagers with superpowers are
They
fucking
should
stupid.
stop. They should only give superpowers to adults.
Yeah, they're fine if like they don't have teenage drama.
Or if
But as
you're
soon
from
as you
the
make me be
Umbrella
like-
Academy and you're actually like a 70-year-old man in like a 12-year-old's body. That's
you know,
the
like,
only time.
Teenagers are like, oh yeah, he doesn't love me anymore. I'm gonna go blow up his fucking house.
Is that what happens in Black Lightning?
No.
Okay. Hormones are going crazy. You have a zit on your face and you're also having to like help people. Ugh, no.
Yeah, but I will say, she does have a romantic interest with a superhero dude. Painkiller is his name. He's not actually a hero. He's a bad guy.
Painkiller is his name?
He's pretty badass too, though. He's and it's a classic story. I'm telling you, it's super great. You know, because this is very real problems that people face in these sort of neighborhoods. You know, not everybody faces them. A lot of people grow up fine in those neighborhoods, but there are people that face those problems.
Yeah.
And he faces the challenges basically to a degree where, again, it's like, what if everyday superheroes were superheroes? It's like, what if everyday gangbangers were like supervillains?
I feel like gangbangers is a term that they decided to use in TV shows and tried to get it to like catch on, or maybe they used it in Chicago in the 20s, and then like I feel like if you were to say gangbangers right now, they'd be like, what?
I don't know where that term comes from, but I bet you it does come from like
1920s Chicago,
yeah,
Al
30s or
Capone
something, yeah.
bullshit. Yeah. It's not like they're like, we don't go by that.
That's not relevant. But yeah, like, you know, it's he faces the problems of, you know, something happens, he feels like he's forced, he's trapped, he's gotta do it, there's no way out. You know, he tries to find his way out and it gets chaotic, and you're like,
yeah, which goes back to the whole like Cottonmouth or Luke Cage, like kind of what happens when you grow up in those neighborhoods, when you make certain choices. What do people see, and how does that change kind of how you appear to younger audiences even?
Yeah.
But it's super fun. It's really fun to watch. And again, like I said, to watch like people that you know in your neighborhood being represented in TV shows like that. Mm-hmm. That's why I like Black Lightning, but cool. I need to go back and watch it.
Yeah, I think you've only seen a few episodes as I've been watching it.
I think I've watched like half the first season.
Yeah, so you need to catch up on that for sure, and the Tick for sure as well.
A lot of TV shows.
But yeah, those are the shows I've been watching just like the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and while you were watching those, while I work, I usually either listen to podcasts or books. And so first I'll start with a podcast that I've been listening to recently because I think they're pretty good, and they're kind of stepping out of my usual, which my usual is either true crime or real play Dungeons and Dragons podcast. But one of them, Dear Internet, is the new one by Tim Lanning and Jennifer Cheek and Michael DeMaro and Nick Bristow, who are they're from Geekly Inc. Tim Lanning, Jennifer Cheek, and Michael DeMaro Drunks and Dragons, and they all did all together Cast of Thrones, which is where they talk about Game of Thrones every week. But since it's ending, they wanted a podcast to kind of do together. So they're doing Dear Internet. And what they do is they go onto like Reddit and all these other websites. Like, I think it's like Ask a Manager too, which is one of my favorite Twitter and blogs. But they get people's questions. They're asking for advice, and they decide to answer these questions for advice.
Yeah.
Like one of the last ones was, my boyfriend keeps farting while he sleeps, and I cannot handle it anymore. What do I do? Or another one that was really funny was, 9 of my friends and I want to buy a castle in the south of France. Do you think we could do this and not have to spend too much money? And so they like decide to weigh into it and like get into other people's dramas.
Let's find out. South of France castle prices.
Well, and they all make like $40,000 a year. And
will they continue to do that if they're in France? That's
right,
the question,
exactly.
right? Like, are you going to move to France and like keep your jobs?
Work in France? Yeah, but this podcast is super funny because they're all really funny together, and obviously the advice that they're giving isn't very great. Like Jennifer Cheek literally thinks that everything is haunted.
Right. So I'm looking at this too, and the cheapest I see is like 9.5 million euros.
No,
for a chateau in the south of
they
France.
had found one, like they'd already put in an offer on it, and it was a little under $1 million. It was like $900,000, and I'm like, shit. That's what houses in the Pacific Northwest are going for.
I guess I could actually.
But it's like
let me sort by list. There's a lot more around here than I thought. Yeah. Yeah,
there's like 15 bedrooms in it. It's like 15,000
I guess, what do you
square feet
consider a castle, and what do you consider a chateau here? Because some of them are only like $400,000.
Yeah, a chateau is completely different than a castle.
Yeah, and that's what these are like, chateaus.
Yeah, no, chateau I think is different. Like, I would consider, like, if you're watching Pride and Prejudice, like, I would consider the Darcy estate to be a castle, more of a castle.
The house they lived in is more of a chateau.
Right, exactly. So those are the kind of things that they talk about. Or, like, I think in the last episode, these people moved, and in their new home, there's, like, a wrestling rink, like a WWE, like wrestling rink, and the kids want to keep it, but the wife wants to get rid of it, and the husband's asking what he should do. And so hilarity ensues as this foursome starts to talk about it. And I definitely think you should listen to it. It's called Dear Internet. They're so funny. I love these guys. Geekly Inc. is a great podcast kind of network.
They are.
They're really funny. And I think everybody should listen to Drunks and Dragons. I haven't actually listened to Cast of Thrones. But I think Nick Bristow brings in like a really cool different take versus kind of the hilarity that Tim Lanning and the almost audacity that Tim Lanning and Jennifer Cheek bring into it, and then the sarcasm that Michael DeMaro does. But besides that, I've gotten really into food related podcasts, specifically the ones on the Heritage podcast radio network radio, something, whatever it's called. But there's 2 of them that I'd like to recommend. One of them being Taste of the Past, which is basically this woman. She brings in different people to interview, and I think they're like 30-minute podcasts, but so they're really quick. And she brings in people with like different cookbooks and different studies. A lot of them are like culinary historians and things like that, and gets them to talk about food from our past. A lot of it is like Italian food, like origins of like Roman dishes. Some of them have been about like New Orleans and food from like Creole and slaves during that time, things like that. So that one's really interesting. But I will really recommend this next one. It's called Meat and Three. And it's from the same radio. And usually what they'll do is they'll bring like different segments, I think, from different shows based on a central theme. Like one of them was called Under the Influence, and they talked about like booze and like the rule where it's like beer before liquor, never been sicker, and like how true those things are. Yeah. And like another one was about like what's in a name, like can a name really affect how you think of this product, like with ciders, like them labeling ciders. Like ciders used to be super popular, and they're coming back in popularity. So now they're trying to specifically name the different ciders like they do in wine, like where this is specifically a cab and things like that, where, you know, you have semi-sweet ciders and dry ciders and things like that. So both of these are really good food podcasts. I think people should go listen to them. They're very soothing. So I think they're fun to listen to. And they're pretty short. And there's a lot to go back and listen to.
Yeah, and like I think like if there's like pretty short podcasts like that, it's always, you know, I don't know, like you're just like on any given Tuesday, you're like, oh man,
I don't feel like listening to my huge.
Yeah, and I could use some like inspiration on something to do fun to mix up the week.
Yep.
You know,
food podcast. Listen to them. And then besides that, I like to listen to books. And I told Jesse that for this trip that's coming up, I really wanted to read Dragonlance while we were on the beach. And he was telling me that he had already purchased the Audible for the first Dragonlance.
Right. Audible is a great thing. Let's plug Audible real quick, and maybe they'll give us a sponsorship.
Hey,
listeners, if you like listening to books and you want to build your library, get Audible. It's like $15 a month, which is cheaper than one book costs anyways. And you get like one free book a month.
Yeah, because Audible is actually pretty expensive, like if you're just buying books without this service. So we definitely think to do that. And every month we're getting a new book on Audible and I'm listening to it.
Right. Like we have like a huge backlist of like books. Oh, we already own a lot of them in like paper format, but you know, Raven needs to listen to them or whatever, right?
I'm listening to them like while I work so that.
Exactly. So we have like a backlog and like I'm just trying to get ahead on it. So I just get like one a month and she's finally caught up to the list, but like, you know, yeah. So it's like you just get one. And yeah, Audible's totally worth it. Totally. And in addition to that, if you're a member, you get the opportunity to like buy extra credits each month for like a discounted price. So I think like if we bought 3 extra credits a month, it's like it's very reasonable. I don't remember what it is. If they give us a sponsorship, we'll
definitely remember.
We'll remember what it costs. But yeah, they're totally worth it, and you could just like flush out your library. And the thing is, you get to keep these books forever as like audio format.
You can also like let your friends borrow.
Yeah, Audible. Absolutely. You can share them. It's great, and it's like Kindle has it built into it too, because Amazon and
and this is the cool thing. If you have your Kindle and your Audible kind of linked together, if you stop on a page on Audible, it'll automatically update on your Kindle.
Yes, so you can like read when you want to read, listen when you want to listen.
Yes.
If you're reading a word and you're like, I don't know how to pronounce that name, you can like tap it and hit it and listen to it.
We're drinking these like hard seltzer things called Truly, and they're I'm very
Hello, listeners.
burpy.
If you're interested in hard seltzer, try Truly.
You're on a
hard
diet
seltzers.
And you want a drink to deal with your life, but don't want to get fat.
Only 100 calories.
Only 2 grams of carbs.
We're in vacation mode, so we're allowed to drink alcohol, by the way, for anybody who listened to our health one before. Fuck that.
Yeah,
vacation and don't count.
Yeah, we're on vacation. This is vacation.
They do say they're like, oh yeah, we're less than a gram of carbs. I see 2 grams of carbs on this nutrition.
No, it says less than 1 thing of like sugar, which is true. But there are 2 grams of carbs. Total sugars is fine.
They might be full of shit.
No, but it's okay. It's not bad.
Yeah,
Truly,
it tastes okay.
I'm drinking the raspberry lime. Jesse's drinking the black cherry, which tastes like butt. The wild berry I was drinking in our last episode, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Anyways, So I wanted to listen to Dragonlance. Jesse had already bought the first Dragonlance, Dragons of Autumn Night. I believe that's right. He had already purchased that one, so I went.
Autumn Twilight, Winter Night,
Oh fuck.
and then
Okay.
Spring Dawn or something like that.
Okay, Dragons of Autumn Twilight. And so I decided to listen to that while I worked. Guys, Dragonlance is probably now the start of my favorite fantasy series of all time. It is so good. It's like, so the Dragonlance stories is based really on like some of the early D&D editions.
Prior to when they were sold to Wizards of the Coast, even.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's written by, I believe it's Tracy Hickman
and Margaret Weiss.
and Margaret Weiss. Exactly.
They're
And
married, apparently.
they are married. They came up with the idea on their way to meet with the creators of Dungeons and Dragons. And that's what they pitched to them. So it's really good. Like, you're getting really this fun D&D adventuring group is really what it seems like. You get like a really cool story. You're getting strong female characters in it, which I'm all about. You're getting creepy wizard guys, which are Jesse's favorite characters.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, well, the female cleric is obviously the best. No. I only play clerics now because of Gold Moon. But yeah, like, I think that if you're looking for, because these books came out in the 80s, and so I think they've kind of fallen out of mainstream, but it's so great to see a book coming from that time that like actually portrays women for the most part accurately, most women, as like strong female characters and not just like damsels, because like the main female in the book is like a fucking badass. And then, like, all the other females in it are also pretty badass, but then also they're feminine. And
they're not pushing the female being a badass thing.
Exactly.
Like,
it's just happening so naturally. Right. And they're just, like, the story is just so organically, really, like, it's so fun to follow. It's got really good highs and really low lows, and you're feeling for these characters. And it's a lot of fun to read. And I'm only finished with book 1. But I'm about to read book 2 on the trip. Hopefully I'm done by the time this podcast comes out. So
I think you'll be able to finish 2 and 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
And catch up. The Dragonlance series is like, I read these a long time ago, so I struggle to remember everything. But I know like they're trilogy based. So it's like 3 books, 3 books, 3 books, 3 books. And they like continue that way.
They're all like chronicles. Basically.
Yeah. Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman have been writing them, like since the 80s. And I don't think they've stopped yet. And they might have. I don't really know. I stopped following them in like 2000.
The last one came out in 2011.
Yeah, and that sounds about right. Like 2000 something. They stopped. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there are like tons of books. It's like, who's the guy that writes the other ones that you're going to read?
R.A. Salvatore?
Yeah, R.A. Salvatore.
And that's the Forgotten Realms.
The Forgotten Realms. 2 sides of the same
seen.
coin. Both of those sides are equally balanced in number of books. So
really, I thought that the Forgotten Realms series has like 100, but I don't think Dragonlance.
Oh yeah, Forgotten Realms is more, but
there's
like
way more.
The point is that there's a lot.
Salvatore.
There's a lot of. I think 99% of them are, but there's a lot of books for you to catch up on. There's a lot of story. The characters it's like following a D&D party. Like this is what like live podcast D&D players like that love Critical Role. This is Critical Role before podcasting was a thing.
And it's actually really funny because Liam O'Brien, who plays Vax, and he plays Caleb in the new Critical Role season, one of his favorite series is like Dragonlance. He's talked about it before, and I can actually see a lot of kind of the similarities between how he role plays his characters as they were written in these books. So I definitely think that if you like D&D, if you're interested in Dungeons and Dragons, maybe like I think that this is great if like you can't get a party together as often as you want, and you're looking for something to kind of like keep you at bay with your D&D Jones Jonesins.
Yeah, and I know a lot of us are out there, like, picking up live plays and stuff like that, but sometimes even that, you're like, I need more, or, I need something different. I need something like, I don't know, more tangible.
Give me more, give me more.
Check it out.
Yeah, read Dragonlance. For real.
Does he have a big cock?
Does he have a big cack?
What did they say? Did she put up a fight?
Yeah.
Which is-
Not written,
That's a
obviously,
real
by
line.
Margaret Weiss. That's actually a line
That's a
that they
real
put
line
into
from
it.
the song is, did she put up a fight?
Grease.
And you're like, what does that mean?
I think I'm going to go back and watch Grease 1 and Grease 2. Because people are saying Grease 2 is much better because it's
rape.
not as fucking creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you listen to that. That's pretty much it for our hotcakes.
Yeah,
So, like, we're
but
caught up. That's what
speaking
we're
of
doing.
D&D, guys, guess what? It's time for another D&D 101.
Yeah. We should come up with a separate theme song for D&D 101. Re-edit the episodes.
D&D 101.
Add it to the... That's so much work.
That's way too much work. We
Yeah.
didn't even come up with the music that we already have.
Yeah, we did. I played it on my recorder.
You did. Ooh, we have the recorders.
Yeah, they're somewhere. Yeah, I will go get them later.
Jesse purchased recorders.
Yeah. They're $5, guys. Go on Amazon.
And get a
Get
recorder.
yourself a recorder and play hot cross buns. If you used to play
cross
an instrument and you haven't played music in a
What?
while.
Hold on. I can do one for hot cross buns. D&D 101 101. Very
Yes.
good. That's it. Done.
All right, we're good.
right.
But yeah, so what we wanted to talk about was, man,
So
burpy.
belchy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, audience.
But so your first game of D&D. So last time we did a D&D 101, we talked about character creation, which is of course going to be, we'll touch back on it a little bit here just to make sure that everybody knows to go check that episode out. Episode
10.
10.
And then also we should have a blog post up about it.
Yeah, we're working on it.
for
Again, we mentioned this in our last podcast. I'll mention it again now because I want to throw it out there, and we probably won't have decided by now, but we're coming up with a character. He's going to be our guy, and we're going to use him.
Or girl.
Or girl, yeah.
Coop.
They're our person. Coop is their name. Coop. I don't know where that came from, but that's their name.
I don't know either.
And they are going to be a wizard.
Or a cleric.
Or whatever you guys
Or
vote
a
on.
ranger. Yeah, whatever.
And they're going to be whatever race you vote on. They'll also be whatever sex you vote on.
Yep.
So that we can really nail down whether they're male or
It's a
female.
male or
whatever.
female, but we have nothing yet.
Yeah, so we're going to make this character, and we want to do this because, so Raven really enjoys making characters.
I do.
I enjoy making characters. We want to, develop a backstory, and we want it to be kind of community-driven. We want this character to kind of live with our podcast for a while.
Yeah.
And so we're going to use them as the basis for when we're making our characters. Maybe they'll show up in some D&D campaigns that we run online. Maybe.
Yeah.
If certain people who know who they are or that are listening want to maybe
do it.
record sometime when we
uh-huh.
play
Yeah.
our games. So
For sure.
we
We haven't talked to them about it
no, we haven't.
at all.
That's why they'll figure it out.
They'll have no idea.
Maybe if they listen. So
One of them does for sure.
oh yeah, 100%. So yeah. Anyways, vote on that stuff. We'll send out the post and stuff. Vote on it, and then
At
we'll
some
see.
point. Yeah.
And we'll do the blog post on developing that character in D&D Beyond as we go through. But yeah, so say a DM asks you to join their game.
Yeah. Or friend that is a player is like, hey, come join our
Come
game.
join a game. Somebody asks you to join
We're
a
starting
Dungeons
level
and
1.
Dragons game. Maybe they're even starting at higher level too. That's something that
Whatever. We're starting from level 1.
we're starting from level 1. But whatever, they ask you to come join, and you're like, oh man, I'm gung ho.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm gonna go listen to Co-op the Podcast episode 10, figure out how to create a character.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's start there. Recommend your friend if they are joining. Go listen to
that.
episode
Yeah.
10.
Maybe check out our blog post once it's there.
Yep,
But
send
then
'em a
once you
link.
do that and they have you've created your character, there's still an air of mystery about your first Dungeons and Dragons
What
experience.
to expect.
What do you expect? What do you bring to the
Expecting
game?
to play D&D.
We're also, for the sake of this exercise, going to assume you're doing it in person, maybe too.
Yeah.
Sure, doesn't really matter. It's
Yeah.
kind of the same regardless.
Yeah, one
What do you bring to the
requires
game?
you
What do you
to
get ready for?
have stuff. Yeah, so one thing that I will say you should definitely bring is your cooperation with your DM. So I would say maybe reach out to your DM
ahead of time
before you start to play and say, hey man, what are your rules? Do you allow, even before you start developing your character, do you allow Unearthed Arcana content? Are you only published books only? Do you have homebrew stuff that you want to incorporate into the game? Stuff like that.
And one thing is, many people here may be familiar with the, I think it's Benjamin Franklin who said the thing, like, ask somebody a favor and they'll feel like they owe you. It's a whole thing. I don't remember the exact quote. But the way to do that with your DM is be like, hey, man, I've got this, like, secret kind of stuff to my backstory, my character. Tell it to your DM and see if they can, like, work it into their story and stuff. So you want to meet with your DM ahead of time. Kind of establish a relationship, talk to them about your character.
Yeah, and
let
that
them in
could
on some
also
stuff nobody else knows.
Influence how you create your character, even because he's like, oh, okay, well, this is the story, this is the world that we live in. You're interested in playing a tiefling. Know that tieflings are very much hated or worshipped as gods or something like that in this world. So you want to be sure that you work with them so that when it comes to playing your character, you're not in the dark. Because I know in a lot of cases it's been like a race of some kind is really not okay in this particular world, or people don't like rogues.
Right, or you're in like a dwarf city,
and
right?
You're being attacked.
And you're like, somebody else is like, that dwarfs don't like.
That kind of person. They hate elves.
Yeah.
It's known.
And, you know, like your whole campaign is set, like you're starting in this one dwarf.
And you decide to be that kind of character. You
There's
should
stuff to know,
what to
And
expect.
Maybe there's something in your backstory that explains why you're there. And you tell it to your DM, and he knows why you're there. And whether you choose to share with other players and stuff like that is up to you. Mm-hmm. You don't have to. Yeah, the DM will work it into the story if you can. And it builds up like a kind of like both of you are vested in the story and development of this character. Because that's what a good DM wants, is like they are just as much participant in your character as you are too, in the game as you are too. So
they want to see, they aren't here. Some of them might be. And I'm going to say that I don't 100% want to play with those people. But most of them want to see you guys succeed. And they want to see where the story takes you. And they want it to be fun for you guys. So working with them is really important so that everybody is having a good time. And I would say even from there, maybe work with a friend that is joining the group or any of the other people that are joining your D&D group, and see if you can kind of work each other into your backstories. Like, get a little collaboration going on with your story.
Yeah,
because that's going to be a lot more fun to play with. So that you have automatic kind of companionship in this game versus everybody is just random and you're like, okay, well, if we're a bunch of murder hobos, would my character stick around? And you don't really have to kind of play that game. You can just say, well, yeah, they'd be here for this person. And so it kind of helps with kind of keeping everybody together in the story.
Yep. So that's something. But there's other stuff you need to bring.
What about supplies?
Well, so like starting with that, I was going to start with our other sponsor, D&D Beyond.
They're not our sponsor,
but we gotta. Yeah, they should be. If they,
but they're not. We are not sponsored by D&D Beyond at all.
I wish. But we love D&D Beyond regardless. We use it. It's where we build our characters and where we get our character sheet, because that is number one. What you want to bring to your D&D session,
your character,
is your character sheet. You can share it with your DM through D&D Beyond.
Yep.
You can
print out a PDF of in the format of an actual character sheet.
Because there's an official format as seen in the player's handbook, which is another item that, you know, if you own, you might want to bring.
But you don't necessarily need it.
Yeah, you don't need it, but it's something nice to have for reference.
A DM will also help you do that. Just make sure if like you're a spellcaster, you have everything you need for your spells. Yeah, like little like spell cards, or write it down.
All of this is easy to categorize and put in D&D Beyond and keep track of. Mm-hmm. So if you bring your phone will work, a tablet, we use our laptops. You can connect to dndbeyond.com and load up your character sheet and have it all right at your fingertips and click and interact and pull up spells and things like that as you need them. So it's great.
Or like if you're a druid, your druid shape, you can put that on D&D Beyond. Your weapons, barbarians, if you need to know what goes into raging, you have it all at your fingertips, and you don't have to like search through the player's handbook.
Yeah. But now if you print off your character sheet, you'll get some of that stuff will still be on there. Like they have little like, I think with rage at least, right? Some things like that. They have the little like, here's what rage is and stuff.
Yeah. The stuff that you would normally end up writing down on your character sheet.
And they'll still have space too. Like they have like some empty note sections and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can print that off straight from D&D Beyond. You can also, if you do get a player's handbook, in the back of the player's handbook there is the blank template for a character sheet. You can like photocopy it
and write it in
or something and write it in. Yeah, it's what like people used to do back in the day, right? Before D&D Beyond, before technology.
Yeah.
But they used to write into the sheet, and we still do that from time to time as well. Like if we're doing like one-offs and when we're kind of playing with our friends locally, we absolutely write it in. It's a little bit more build it up while you're there and hanging out sort of thing.
You do it together, which is all fun.
So there's lots of ways to do it, but that's number one. Make sure you have your character sheet. You know, you're going to need that. You're going to need your stats filled in, which again, we talked about filling in the character sheet on our previous episode in episode 10.
The next time that we do a D&D 101, we'll probably go into like your stats, what those are used for, your skills, yada yada.
Yeah.
But for now, we're just going to talk about
when are we going to do D&D like 201?
That's going to be...
Or grad level like 501, 601.
Ooh, 501.
I know.
How to be a level 20 character. We'll know when we actually get to be one.
Yeah, it'll be more like, here's all these spells. And here's what each of them do.
Yeah.
Know them. But yeah, so...
Expert level RPing.
Yeah. What to do when you enter a whorehouse?
What to do when the bard decides to
don't just
seduce the dragon.
Yeah, don't just like fuck about. You gotta know what you're there for. Be professional.
Yeah, bards.
Yeah.
We're looking at you.
But okay, so then the other stuff to bring, some other supplies. Dice. Let's talk about dice.
Dice, yes. So I am a purist. I like dice. I like physical dice, a set of 7 at least of your D20, D12, D10, all the way to D4. That's what I'm here for. I don't like using online rollers, but you don't actually need dice because you can use like dnddiceroller.com or something like that. Or
Roll20 has it built in.
However,
Discord even has a little tool guy, our little psychic guy.
Yes.
Psychic.
However, I mean, I think that you're taking fate out of your own hands into an algorithm, and I don't like that as much. That's just me.
Yeah.
And I like the way dice look. They're pretty.
Yeah. So I'll talk, when we talk about dice, there are cheap dice.
Yeah, $7 to $9 on Amazon. You can get them tomorrow.
And usually, though, like the cheap dice and like the reason physical dice are not perfect is because no machined item ever made by anybody has been 100% perfect. And, we talk about, so a D20, there's 20 options. And so if you were to roll it, I don't know, 1,000 times, you'd expect it to basically be like even results or, a reasonable derivation of whatever, right?
Yeah, this is now a statistics podcast.
Yeah, if we talk about statistics of. So usually what happens with some of the cheaper dice is they tend to lean towards some numbers show up a little bit more.
They're weighted a little bit.
Right. And it's because dice are made by making like a shape and then they also carve in the numbers into it. And all these little things, they fuck up the weight ever so slightly.
It's a mold and it's made out of resin and humans make it usually. So there's standard
paint
of error.
And the things and there's a standard
and
of error.
And sometimes there's stuff inside of it like glitter and that could also affect it. To be able to check how weighted,
you're supposed to roll it like 100 times or something.
No, you put it in water and see how it floats. Okay.
Shout out to Carissa, who is a massage therapist at Verde Organic Body, which we talk about a lot. I don't know if she has a handle that she wants us to plug or something like that.
We'll do it later.
Hopefully she's listening.
Yeah.
She said that you're supposed to roll your dice like 100 or 200 times or something. Write down the number. Oh, shit, I just threw my dice. No. Write down the number, and then if any number stands out like way too much, it's obviously fucked up.
Weighted to that.
Yeah.
But then
and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense.
They're weighted highly, and that's your lucky dice now.
That's what I said. It's like, okay, 20 showed up like 80% of the time. So
This is my good dice.
Yeah, that's my good dice.
No, but I will say, I don't think that there's a specific dice that I have. I have maybe 10 D20s that I use in rotation. There are none that feel specifically weighted. There are some that are good on some nights, some that are good on other nights. One that is specifically bad are my most expensive ones because they're always cocked.
Yeah. So, and that's what I was going to say. So, like, we're talking physical dice. So, before I jump into which physical dice I like the best, I'll just say the good thing about digital dice is they are, like, truly random. Like, the computer algorithm will say...
It says it's truly random, but I think one day our friend...
Truly random means that, you're going to roll shitty sometimes.
They literally roll shit almost all the time. I don't think I ever see our friends
even computers
on
aren't
Roll20
truly
roll good.
random. Yeah, but they're like... 99.99999999999%
I just
accurate.
think that you're more okay with the outcome of a game if you control it with the dice. It's still fate, but it still feels like you're doing something about it. It's like you have the sword in your hand.
Yeah. So we definitely recommend buying dice, but not everybody can spend a ton of money on dice, which is the unfortunate thing, because I will say the more you spend, the better they will be.
Yeah.
And that my level up dice, which we've talked about before, are my favorite dice. Mm-hmm. I basically use no other dice anymore. I roll really well too with them. But
I'll say I do also have level up dice, but they're the cage ones, and so they end up getting cocked very often. They're very pretty. I think my next purchase, my treat yourself purchase, is going to be some aluminum level up. Dice. But I do have other ones that are pretty good. I have Chessex dice, and I think that they're great.
Yes, and Chessex is the brand that you can generally get pretty cheap.
$7 to $9 or less. If you go to your local game store, they probably have Chessex dice.
Yeah, and some of them are good, some are bad. It's basically it's the luck of the draw with them. But again, they're $7 to $9. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I do think some of the other ones I would kind of recommend if you're looking for dice is game science dice. Those specifically are they test them, they make sure that everything is pretty close to being random, and my favorite thing to find in some dice, which you don't find in Chessex dice very often, are hard edges, very crisp edges versus rounded edges on your dice sides. You get those on these aluminum dice by Level Up. You get them with Game Science. Chessex is a little bit more rounded. You also get them with I think it's Lucky Hand dice, which are those dice I've talked about in another episode, and I haven't gotten any, but they're really beautiful, and they are those hard edges.
Yeah,
so,
which we actually posted pictures of our level up dice in our blog post.
DM, buy a gift for your DM.
Yeah, so definitely go check that out, and you'll see how extremely pretty these dice are too. All dice, they always do something to make them cool looking. Right?
Yeah.
But I think that's another thing I like about Level Up is that they just
Jesse's dice are Nightwing themed, which is one of his favorite DC superheroes. So
yes, indeed. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so make sure you don't need dice. Again, so if you have a computer and you have your character sheet up on it, and then you want to get digital dice, and you just want to
do everything online.
One thing is we got iPads specifically for D&D, and we use them for
not
that.
Very often. And I tried to draw on it, and I'm not good at drawing.
Yeah, we were bad. But it's very convenient. If we were to go to somebody's place and go to a game,
I've ever said.
Yeah, but if we were to go to somebody's place for a game, we just pop that in our bag. Right, it's so much easier than carrying a computer and stuff like that. And you're just okay. And you can have a little dice roller, and you can have your character sheet, and you're ready to play basically at a moment's notice.
Right, exactly.
But if you do decide to get physical dice, I'll say one accessory that's really nice to add to your physical dice is a dice tray.
Oh, yeah.
So, what I used to do back in the day when I was a kid was play, and we'd roll dice on the tabletop, and everybody's losing dice.
They always end up on the ground.
Plus, there might be, I don't know, Cheeto dust. Don't eat Cheetos. Eat celery instead. Celery, strings.
That's not what this episode is about.
All over the place, and you're trying to roll and it gets fucked up. And so a dice tray is super
handy. It's definitely not necessary.
It's not necessary. This is a nice thing to have.
Yeah.
And they actually make, as far as so how do you carry your dice around, right?
Dice bag.
They make dice. Well, we have some cool dice bags, which we also posted.
Yes, on that.
But they have dice trays that collapse like up and become like a little carrying thing for your dice and you know, whatever else. Which, you know, we saw some really cool ones at Emerald City Comic Con. I can't remember what they were, but they were super awesome.
Yeah.
And you know, they're like little portable. Like, so another thing is rolling your dice towers. People talk about are like super nice.
We don't have a dice tower, but
we do not. But yeah, they're like built-in dice towers and dice trays all built into one, and you can store your dice in them, and you can bring it, throw it in your backpack, and go.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Super
like,
cool.
Find something that works for you and how you play. Again, if it's your first game and you're still even trying to figure out what you like.
Yeah, you don't need this stuff.
You don't need this stuff.
But, I think there's a lot of accessories and stuff to go
so
on
many
with
accessories. I think that dice are a fun thing to just bring with you anyways. I mean, they're so small that if you don't end up playing very often, it's not going to take up that much room, and you're not going to spend that much money if you don't want to.
Yeah, and like a 7-set chess 6 dice, what, $7-9 or whatever.
$7-9 on Amazon, and you can get them tomorrow.
Yeah, and you can get them tomorrow, and they'll look pretty cool, and you know, maybe you'll have a good time because you're playing with your own dice. And like, yeah, you might roll shit, and it'll be funny.
Full experience too. I think that that's a big thing. Is like, what is the full Dungeons and Dragons experience? I think it's not to.
Yeah,
I like
since we're
D&D
kind of
Beyond.
on dice, like, so like, how does it actually go? You know,
like
I ask you to roll something. And like, you know, if you're not rolling physical dice, you're not going to get that. You know what I mean?
That
where it's
feel, like
I need you to roll initiative. Yeah, right now.
Oh yeah. Ooh, gotta chill because.
Yeah.
Do you want me to actually roll initiative?
Go for it.
Okay.
Roll some initiative. I'll roll initiative too.
You gotta roll initiative.
So you take a d20 and you roll it.
What'd you get?
I got a 15. I don't know what my character
what's
has.
your dex
Let's
bonus?
say 3. 18. I don't know what character I'm playing in this one.
Here we go. Here's a d20. I have so much dice. I got a nat 20.
Nat 20.
I
see?
legit got a
Boom.
nat 20 right now. Let's just keep this dice there. We're gonna use it.
It's
We're
fun.
not playing for like
and
2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This fucking sucks.
But yeah, that's the thing, right? So like, if you were
It feels
like
so much
an
better when
online
you
roller,
roll
you
a
don't
D20.
hear that. Like, I think you guys hear here.
Or like the.
Yeah.
And I have so many dice in here because it's not like just that. Like, say I'm rolling a d8 for damage.
Exactly. It's like, and it's great when
one.
they're like, okay, you know, roll your attack. Okay, that hits. Now roll your damage. And you're like, okay, what do I do? What do I do? Right? This is you as a first put-on player. You're like, what do I do?
I know.
And they're like, okay, take your D8 and roll it, and then add your little multiplier.
Yeah. And they're all by like shapes and stuff, so it's a
or
little...
even better yet, your DM's
easy.
like, okay, roll a D100. Because that's how you know you're getting some good stuff.
You're getting cool stuff. Yeah, it's fun. I think that like rolling with actual dice is a lot of fun. But like, say you're wanting to play a like purist Dungeons and Dragons, like I think maybe not using D&D Beyond. I mean, we like D&D Beyond, but like use your player's handbook.
They don't pay us yet.
Yeah, they don't pay us. We don't need fuck. Like you're gonna want to have a player's handbook handy.
It's useful for the group to have one. You don't need not everybody needs one.
Your DM is 100% gonna have one. So
most likely,
I would ask to borrow theirs. They should probably have character sheets. A lot of times you could work with your DM to say like, hey, can you like help me with this and provide this to me? So I think making sure you have physical things is important for your experience. So character sheets are important. And so you're there in the experience. But really you just have to bring, I'd say, dice and a character sheet.
A pencil.
And a pencil. Ooh, and like a little notebook to write
Don't
notes.
bring a pen. Yeah, bring a pencil.
Bring a pencil. Yeah, and then also bring something to write in for notes for your campaign. Campaign notes are really important.
Right, because here's the situation. You're in a campaign and like you went to such and such town like fucking 6 months ago in real life. But the campaign was only a week ago, and so you should remember where it was and who you talked to.
And who you talked to. And if you're like doing reconnaissance and like trying to get information, you need to be able to remember that. As like a human being, like a person, like a real person.
Yeah, somebody who lives in that world as like a character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. You should remember who you talked to, you know, quote unquote, yesterday or an hour ago.
Yeah.
Even though it's been...
Or like, even like your backstory history stuff. Like, you should remember who your cousin is that got kidnapped by goblins.
Like in our current campaign, we're like, what city are we in again? And like, we had to pin the map to the top of our Discord chat just to make sure everybody could go back and reference
now we're doing like traveling stuff.
Yeah, because we're like, okay, well, we want to get here. But wait, what does it look like again?
Yeah.
So yeah, notes are important for sure.
Very
so
important.
I think that's a good one too. And again, if you're on a computer or a tablet or something where you can take notes there,
Notepad,
you can get your character sheet up,
it's free.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, something tangible for you to have. You're not going to remember all the stuff that your character does. I think just in general, as a player, like you're coming in at level 1 in this scenario, know what the fuck your character can do. There is nothing that pisses me off as a DM more than my players not at least trying to remember the abilities that their characters have.
And that's what's
like I get it where it's like everything is kind of difficult, but at level 1 it's not that hard, and as long as you put forth the effort to have some idea, maybe you don't know exactly how it works, but if you're a paladin, know you have healing hands or touch yourself.
Healing touch it.
I can't remember.
Lay on hands.
If you're a monk, no, I don't know if that comes in at level 1, but like know you have key points.
Yeah, that's
Clerics
level 3,
know that you have domains and like things like that. Know you have a patron. Like know your character at least a little bit, and then as you go forward in the campaign, try to remember what you're doing, because the DM shouldn't be the one looking stuff up for you constantly about your character. Put forth the effort, help them out at least a little bit. They already had to create an entire world and like billions of NPCs all of their mind all at the same time. They don't need to remember your player character.
Yep, yeah. So yeah, be prepared. Yeah. But yeah, let's get a little bit more into, so when you actually start the game, what's going to like generally happen is there's going to be the scenario where, so as like a DM putting it together, there's going to be the scenario where characters meet, all right?
Mm-hmm. How do they meet?
Yeah. How do they meet? And there's like different ways to set it up. A lot of times it's the tavern scenario.
There's a tavern,
I bet that's like, I think the tavern scenario is probably 9 times out of 10. You guys are sitting in a bar and you just... Which, in real life, have you ever just struck up a friend with somebody in the bar and they're like, hey, let's just go kill some fuckers, right?
Yeah, 100%. I always find people looking to kill fuckers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how the Manson family got started. They were just chilling in a bar and they were like,
maybe.
You want to go kill some fuckers? Yeah.
I don't think that's
anyways, so, real life never happened before, but that's how it happens in D&D all the time. You're chilling in a tavern and for whatever reason, like a board has like a poster on it, or the bartender shares some
wanted
information.
Or adventures, needed kind of
something
thing.
Something drew you guys all together. And so be prepared to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Know what your character looks like and have like a general personality kind of decided. Because
generally what's going to happen is the DM's going to be like, okay, like introduce yourself to the group.
You guys see
each other. Who are you?
Yeah.
And you can't just be like, I'm a big black blur.
Yeah. I'm like one of those like black bars.
Yeah. My face will slowly define itself as I figure it out.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be descriptive, like, here, introduce your character. Just make up a character. Go.
You see before you a 5'7" elven woman, pointy ears, green eyes, long red hair that's wavy. She has a staff that is made out of oak, has a crystal at the top that glows green, and she's wearing leathers, and she has a
traveler's leather
cape made out of leaves. Guys, I just made, AKA, that's Keyleth from Critical Role. I didn't realize it while I was making it up.
Yeah. But yeah,
But I made a druid. I made an elven druid, basically.
Yeah. So be prepared for a description like that, where you're able to like say, this is my person. You don't have to say, I'm a druid.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily have to be what you say.
I think it's better if you don't, because I think it's more fun to discover that in like your first combat.
Right. And a lot of people might get stuff from the descriptions anyways, right? Like, okay, wearing a cape made of leaves. Yeah.
I love leaves.
Yeah, every person I know wears that, so that's not druid-like.
I love leaves.
Yeah, so they might have an idea. But I like to do things, too, where, like, I'll have, like, a person who might fit the description. Like, one of my characters right now is, like, a barbarian, but they're actually a sorcerer.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and so, like, you can, like, fit different descriptions or whatever and, like
Like,
surprise
I have
people.
an elvish barbarian who's also a very young female. So, like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Not your typical barbarian.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, just come to the table with some sort of idea of who your character is.
Yeah, and if it's relevant, you can share stuff with your pet. Like, you can be as a, like, if you're introducing yourself to the team and you want to say, I'm a druid, I'm a Virgo, you know, I don't know. You want to give, like, too much details on your past? My dad was abusive, so I killed my entire family. I don't know. You can do whatever you want. But that's like, if you've ever met new people and they start telling you that shit, and you're like, thanks, bro.
Like, cool, overshare.
Not talk to you anymore because you're a little weirdo.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
just oversharing. Let's experience that throughout the rest of our life.
Yeah.
Together
So you
as
can
adventurers.
or you cannot share as much as you want, but yeah, be prepared for a description. And then usually after the introduction, after your characters meet each other or after they get set on the same wheels of motion, you get into your adventure. And we're not going to get into, like, how to live your adventure.
Yeah.
But usually you guys have a destination in mind. I will say, like, one thing that's super important as a character, though, is, like, be prepared to role play and talk and ask questions and be informed.
And that is going to be, I think, the hardest part of everything.
It is the hardest part.
Coming to a game and being prepared to role play.
Right. Because this is how it's going to go. The DM's going to be like, okay, so what do you guys want to do?
And, like, if nobody says anything, that's it, the end. So someone has to be like, okay, well, I'm going to go talk to the bar or the bartender.
Right.
Or I'm going to go sit at this table.
Or we should go into this cave. Or
Yeah.
we should head towards that town because clearly that's where we're supposed to go. Or, you know, whatever, right? Like, imagine you're in real life, like you're with a group of people and somebody's like, hey, what do you want to get for dinner?
I don't know.
Yeah, if everybody says,
mean,
I don't know,
whatever.
nobody's getting dinner.
Nobody gets dinner.
Start throwing out some options. Talk it over with your group. Talk it over in character.
Talk it over in character in your group. Because I think that that's something that in groups that I've been in the past, we don't talk it over enough in character. So you're not getting enough character to character experiences. You're just getting Raven to Jesse kind of experiences.
Yeah, which is, there's a place and time for that as well.
I want to say it's outside of playing the game for.
Yeah, I think
character,
sometimes there's
character.
some necessary clarification and stuff like that you might want to do between some characters, some outside strategy.
Yeah, but I feel like it's more important to get that character to character development.
Yeah, conversation
going, because, like, I want to say in one of the campaigns that we're in right now, we hardly ever just sit down around a campfire and plan things or talk about our
Sometimes you
characters
just have
and
to
our
let
character
that
background.
happen, too.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah, because that's probably another good point is you might not always get your way in a group too. Don't be upset about it.
I feel like I'm being really attacked right now. I'm just here to have a good time.
If the rest of the team wants to do something else, just go with the flow. Just have a good time.
But eventually, like, instead of just, like, going in and wanting more combat, those role-playing moments really do have their place in these games. So
Yeah, definitely role play. But yeah, so yeah, be prepared to not let the just silence fill the conversation.
Yeah, have ideas. Come, like, thinking, like, okay,
Think
if
on
I
your
was
feet.
playing a video game, like, what would my character do? He would go talk to somebody to go get a quest. Go get a quest.
Yeah. Once you have the quest, what do you do?
Yeah.
Maybe go resupply and start heading towards the quest.
I will also say that, say you're not somebody that is very, like, you're not as comfortable in RPing right now, maybe don't choose to play a character that is very heavily RP, like a bard. Like, bards talk a lot, and, like, people with high charisma. Like, you're probably going to need to talk your way out of stuff or talk your way through moments. So just keep that in mind when picking your player and your character. It's like Travis Willingham in Critical Role said, I think one of the reasons why he picked Grog as his first character is because he didn't really play all that much before and he didn't really know what he was doing. So that's why he ended up playing a Goliath barbarian with a really low intelligence. So that he wasn't forced to make those decisions and do those things. So, but not everybody can do it.
Yeah. There are definitely, strategies to playing if you feel uncomfortable with talking like that. So,
yeah,
for sure. But yeah, okay. What else?
I
Have
think
we
that's
hit anything?
I think that that's a good amount.
I think that's good for like, yeah, your first session. Again, just be open-minded. And also,
come to it an open book.
yeah, you might not even really get very far in the first session too. Like that's the other thing about being open-minded towards it is be open-minded to other people's solutions and things like that in your team.
Yeah.
Also be just like, okay, yeah, we didn't get to any combat tonight. Okay, whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah, chill. And you'll have a much better time about it. If you're like, oh man, I didn't get to any combat.
I didn't do anything this episode.
And it's like,
this game, this
Yeah,
session.
this game, yeah.
I always say episode.
that's okay.
now.
And I want to say too, like we were talking a lot about like this kind of felt like in person. There are tons of ways if you're struggling to find teams in person, you can play online and it's basically the same. You just, do it over Skype, right? And you can have all the tools in front of you and you can play the same way. We use Discord when we do it. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing, right? Like, you still have that interaction with people. Mm-hmm. So definitely if you're having a hard time finding a group locally, which is totally understandable in a lot of places, we're fortunate to live in a mecca of weeboos.
Weeboos? Really? Not all of us that play D&D are weeboos. What does that have to do with anything?
We're fortunate to live in this mecca of super cool people.
Nerdy people.
People.
Yeah. And we don't even play in a person-to-person group. We play online.
Yeah, we play a lot of our games online, yeah. But, we can find ones if we want to, and it's a good time. But, yeah, if you live, somewhere and you're struggling, look online because you can definitely find them. And they're definitely open. There are, like, tons of groups open to having new players. So
absolutely.
Do it.
But, yeah, I think that's basically it. If we think of anything, we'll give you that
D&D 101 Part 3.
Yep, exactly. Well, so in the future, especially for helping us create Goop, you can find us on social media at Facebook, at Twitter, at Instagram, at Co-op the Podcast.
Yep. And you can find our website at coopthepodcast.com. Check it for blog posts and things like that.
Yeah.
And then find us on Patreon at patreon.com/coopthepodcast.
Yeah. And you can also be on the lookout for that contest.
Yes,
it's
definitely be on the lookout.
Out and about right now. Get yourself a free t-shirt, buddies.
Yeah, our t-shirt's very nice.
They're nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. The women's sizes are a little small. Just know that.
Yeah.
I'd say go a size up for women.
That makes sense.
Or just do the men's sizes. Just saying. Anyways, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Raven_co-op.
And you can find me at Jesse, JESSECO_OP.
Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to rate and review. We don't plug that enough. We need to do that more. Rate, review, you motherfuckers. Tell them how much you love us.
Smash that like button, yo. Or subscribe button. I don't know what they say on YouTube's.
We are on YouTube, but find us on YouTube.
Yeah. Next thing, we're coming after PewDiePie. We're going to beat his subscriptions. So do it. Anyways, talk to you guys later.
Okay, bye.